Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. I am, of course, your host, Sara Gonzales. You know, we named the show that just in case, like, I got confused about the show name. I could just remember that it was my own name, and then I would know. It's a great day today for several reasons. The first reason is I saw a clip of HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Say today during the cabinet secretary meeting with President Trump that by September they will have a report that gives the reason or reasons for the autism epidemic in this country. And to celebrate, I'm just saying, you guys should go over to saramerch.com and get the Maha Moms Club. Steven, thank you. The Maha Moms Club mug, shirt, hat, whatever you'd like. And then, of course, you can go to the other one, Stephen. Thank you. MAGA Moms Club, for those of you who would like some more MAGA stuff. I don't need to keep buying MAGA merch, and I just keep doing it. It just keeps showing up at my doorstep. I don't know how that happens. So another reason that it is a nice day, a lovely day, is because the House of Representatives actually decided to do real work, which is a really big change of pace for them. Leaving early, having long weekends, not actually passing anything, not actually codifying President Trump's agenda, just sitting around with their thumbs up there. Anyway, they passed 3 major pieces of legislation in the last 24 hours that are really going to move the ball forward on this America First agenda that the American people voted for back in November. So I want to go through these 3 pieces of legislation. Before I do that, I want to remind you guys to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Guys, they're screwing with us in the algorithm right now. And they can do that because they've demonetized us for 2 years now. We've hit the 2-year anniversary. I keep waiting for someone to bring me a cake celebrating the 2 years that we've made $0 from YouTube. So make sure to smash the like button as well, or you can gently tap it. We all appreciate a gentle tapping from time to time. Comment and let us know what you think of the show, and it will at least help us in the algorithm, and it's absolutely free. So the first thing that they passed was the SAVE Act. Now, this was crucial to pass for election integrity. This was sponsored by Texas Congressman Chip Roy. And what it says is it's basically ensuring that only citizens are registered to vote in elections for federal office. And of course, they go into make sure to define proof of U.S. citizenship. And they are, they're making it safer and more secure. And so they have to use Real ID, a form of identification that's consistent with the Real ID Act of 2005 that indicates that the applicant is a citizen of the United States. So a United States passport, official United States military identification card or with record of service, and a valid government issued photo identification card issued by federal, state, or tribal government showing that their place of birth was in the United States. Now, seems reasonable, right? Seems very reasonable that we should make sure that we are only allowing citizens to vote in this country for federal elections. Well, if that's the case, makes you wonder why almost every Democrat voted against it. Once again, the last time, I believe 0 Democrats voted in favor of it. Now, this time around, when it passed, we had 4 break ranks with the Democrats to vote for the bill. Representatives Jared Golden from Maine, Marie Gluesenkamp Perez from Washington, Henry Cuellar from Texas, and Ed Case from Hawaii. And so I just, you wonder, what the hell possible reason would you have to say we should not be making sure that these people are actual citizens before we register them to vote? And I would like for Democrat Party member, average Democrat voter, Sunny Hostin, to try to explain why voter ID is like racist or misogynist or something. Watch.
Don't have cars, don't have driver's licenses. So it's sort of a vestige of, I think, post-slavery laws where they where Black people had to prove their right to vote. And oftentimes they couldn't vote because they couldn't pass some crazy test or they didn't have the appropriate ID. It also affects women that are married. Maybe your passport reflects something that's different on your birth certificate or on your driver's license. So really the bottom line is voter suppression. And I agree with him 100%. It's a brilliant notion that less voter ID laws allows more people to vote. And most democracies do it that way. We're the only ones that really don't do it that way.
Right.
Newsflash, that's not true. Actually, first of all, we're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic, but most other industrialized countries do have strict voter ID laws, or more strict than we have here in this country, number one. Number two, unlike Sunny Hostin, do not actually believe that Black people are either too stupid or too poor to go get an ID, especially when most states, they have a program where you can get an ID for free. You don't have to actually have a driver's license. You can still obtain an ID, state-issued identification. There would be no reason not to do that. You have to have an ID to open up a bank account. You have to have an ID to open up a library card. You have to have an ID to take a flight. You have to have an ID to have and do all sorts of things in this country. And, I'm just going to go ahead and say to those women who maybe their name doesn't match their passport anymore because they got married or got divorced or whatever the case may be, if you're too lazy to go get your name changed on your documents, I don't want you voting. You shouldn't vote. If you are too lazy to do those things, you probably just shouldn't vote. You could just sit that election out. Okay. So you listen to this nonsense drivel about, it's just racist and it's misogynistic because what about the women who got married? You can't expect them to actually keep up with their own documents. They're women after all. You listen to that and you're like, okay, do you guys actually believe that nonsense? Or is this really part of a larger play? Because when you look at the 2024 electoral map, you notice a pattern. There is no voter ID required in 13 states, non-photo ID required in 4 states, photo ID required in 2 states. And when you look at the states Kamala Harris won versus where there were states that had ID requirements, are you noticing all those states that didn't require photo ID or voter ID, Kamala happened to win. Isn't that a curious coincidence? But I'm sure that has nothing to do with why the Democrats don't like the SAVE Act. I'm sure nothing to do. Okay. So also, sure, they hate that this act requires states to remove non-citizens from voter rolls using federal databases like the systematic alien verification for entitlement system, which will, of course, make sure to provide a more systematic way to verify citizenship status. And we can clear the rolls of all of the non-citizens who, again, should not have been allowed to register in the first place. Such a strange coincidence that the Democrats don't like that. It's almost like they've got this giant play going on in the background, trying to bring all of these non-citizens and illegals over, get them registered, and then win every election until the end of time. But that's crazy conspiracy theory. Please don't listen to me on that. Now, it's really, really amazing when you look into how many Americans actually support voter ID and photo ID laws, how many Americans support election integrity in this country. 90% of Americans support this. The Trump administration, of course, has been pushing it. And so what would be the reason? What would be the reason not to do it? So that's one win. Now, getting it past the Senate will be another hurdle, but we'll tackle that another day, okay? The second one on the docket that they actually passed today over there in the GOP-led House, I use that term loosely, the GOP-led House, was the Trump budget, the Republican budget blueprint. Now, this was I would say, quite critical framework for enacting Trump's economic agenda. And, we keep talking about Congress needs to codify things. Congress needs to move so that President Trump can continue making the progress that he's making. Now, this one came down to the wire. It was 216 to 214 after days of conservative holdouts threatening to tank it. And President Trump congratulated the House of Representatives earlier today for passing his big, beautiful budget. He said, congratulations to the House on the passage of a bill that sets the stage for one of the greatest and most important signings in the history of our country. Among many other things, it will be the largest tax and regulation cuts ever even contemplated. Make America great again. So Speaker Johnson did get this done with commitments from the White House and the Senate to deliver at least $1.5 trillion in spending cuts. Now, this will unlock reconciliation, meaning that Republicans can bypass the filibuster and, of course, start building this big, beautiful bill that President Trump has been calling for. Tax cuts, border security, energy reform, include it all, baby. Okay? Because we need all of these things. We've been hurting 4 years of Joe Biden, and we're ready to hit the ground running. So we've got that one on the table as well. And then the third one that I still can't believe they did 3 actual things in one day. That might be a record for Congress. Who knows? And this third one was the No Rogue Rulings Act. So this one actually targets activist judges who are blocking Trump's orders from the bench, and says that district court judges cannot issue nationwide injunctions that freeze policy for the whole country based on a single case. No more judge shopping in California to shut down national security orders in D.C., and it passed 219 to 213 with just one Republican voting no. You may be asking who that Republican is. It was Representative Mike Turner from Ohio, who joined all of the Democrats in opposing the legislation. Now, for this issue of these activist judges, which is obviously a problem, they thought that they would stop him with the lawfare before he got elected. Once he got elected and they realized they could not stop him from getting inaugurated, even though they tried to kill him twice, then they realized we'll just try to engage in the lawfare once he is elected and once he starts implementing all of these things that the American people voted him in for. And so they're trying, but try as they might, this is just the beginning, because other GOP bills are already in the pipeline, including one from my congressman, Brandon Gill, to impeach the D.C. Judge James Boasberg for blocking Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act. Remember, he was the one who was like, we need to bring these MS-13 gang members back to American soil. We want them here. Yeah. Impeach the bastard. Also, a separate proposal is in the works from Representative Andy Biggs to remove this judge entirely for failure to remain in good behavior, which I would say judges being impeached should be a thing that should happen way more often than it does. And so bottom line is the House actually showed up and delivered on voter integrity, delivered on fiscal discipline, delivered on judicial reform, and actually codified what President Trump is asking them. Hey, guys, I can only do so much. I'm going to need your help. The American people voted you in as the majority to help me implement my agenda. This is, of course, just the beginning of that, hopefully much more to come. So I want to bring in my panel and get their reaction to these 3 wins in a whirlwind 24 hours. First, I want to thank our sponsor this segment, Birch Gold. So Birch Gold is there for those of you who, you maybe are thinking, I've got all my investments in this one nest egg, and that might not be such a great idea, especially with this trade war, watching this go, back and forth. If you're thinking maybe diversifying into something that's not the stock market or, some sort of I don't know, whatever your investment folder is. If it's not gold and silver, you should look at diversifying into gold and silver. Historically, it's been very, very, very stable. And it's also good for times of, inflation. But just honestly, even in times of regular stability, you should just have gold and silver. Birch Gold can help you do that. They can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. It's not going to cost you a penny out of pocket. And I'm not a financial expert. I don't claim to be, but they are. And they've got this free information kit on gold that they can send you. There's no obligation. There's no reason not to get the information. Just read it and see if gold may be right for you. You can text the word Sarah to 989898. They're going to send you that free information kit. Okay. That's the word Sarah, my name, SARA, to 989898. Joining me now to unpack the amazing record-setting work that Congress finally did, got off their asses and did something. We have Matthew Marsden, Blaze TV contributor and actor and producer extraordinaire, along with John Doyle, of course, Blaze TV contributor and host of Heck Off Commie. I was starting to get a complex, like I was blacklisted from you or something.
No, it's quite the opposite. I come on the show and then I'm told that I need to take a 4-week leave of absence, and I come back a month later. And
True.
I'll look for my tell-all. It's not going to be on Blade.
Yeah, sure. Listen, you can have a tell-all, but you're going to have to split whatever commission, whatever monetization you make with me.
That's a funny way of putting it. Yeah, you when you cause all the problems. I was giving you all the material, so I should get more of the royalties. Yeah.
I like your Space Force hat, by the way.
Thank you.
So I don't know if you guys were listening. You definitely weren't. But we had the SAVE Act passed. We had the budget actually passed. Now, this is just in the House. The Senate actually has to do something. So no telling. And then we had the Rogue Judges Act passed. And so with the SAVE Act, it's just so funny to watch the Democrats scramble on trying to explain why this is not something that you would want in this country. Voter ID, photo ID, security in our elections. Why would you possibly want that, guys? And I want to go through some clips here that just kind of uncover who the Democrats really are. We've got New York Congressman George Latimer, who accidentally admitted, he said the quiet parts out loud, I guess. Watch.
People in my district and in my state have spoken clearly. This bill is voter suppression, pure and simple. It's brought to us under the guise of stopping illegal voting. And when we analyzed voting in Westchester County, 1 million people that I was the county executive of, we found no appreciable illegal voting. But this is an opportunity for this majority to try to impose their will on the states that they don't already control.
Did you notice the language there? We found no appreciable illegal voting. So it's subjective, of course. Like, well, it's happening, but it's not happening a lot. It's just like Martha Raddatz with the illegal gangs taking over apartment complexes. But JD, that's just one. That's just one apartment complex in America that illegal gangs have taken over. Show me another one. It's like, okay, well, if we have any illegal votes, any illegal voters, just one is unacceptable and we should do something about it. And then you have the Democrats like, I played Sunny Hostin the last segment. Then you have the Democrats who want to just like go all in on the racism talking point. And I want to play Georgia Democrat Nikema Williams, who says that asking for proof of citizenship is a poll tax. Watch.
In Georgia, over half of the population doesn't have a passport, and our driver's licenses, even the real ID, doesn't prove citizenship. This bill could force Georgians to pay more than $700 million just to register to vote. Y'all, that's the poll tax, plain and simple. And it's blatant voter suppression. Voter suppression by any other name.
Mr. Speaker.
So now it's Jim Crow to ask someone to verify that they are a citizen of this country and should vote. And I said, I can't wait to hear your thoughts, guys. I said it last segment. If you're too lazy to go get an ID, if you're too lazy to update your ID when you have a life change, you move, you get married, whatever, you just shouldn't vote then. Like if you are that lazy, non-contributing member of society, I actually don't want you voting, and I don't have any sort of empathy for you. I just don't. Voting is something that is very special that you should take very seriously, and I don't think that it should be compulsory at all. I think if people are not willing to jump through very minor hoops to make sure that the voting process is secure, I just don't think you should vote.
I think you could even make those hoops a little major if you were so inclined. I mean, that's what the founding fathers wanted. That's why our country was designed to be an aristocratic republic, a constitutional republic, not a democracy, which is why our revolution is actually very unique historically, because if you look at the aesthetics of it, it is very aristocratic. Our founding fathers are wearing powdered wigs. They all lived on beautiful estates. They weren't like your more maybe typically historical mob of peasants. Like these were guys who were like very productive members of society. and who built and established our country. And for that reason, they didn't want just, your any person being able to walk into the voting booth and have a say in things the way that, they would have a say in things. So do we like voting? Sure. But there's a reason that Democrats do things like this, whether it's voter fraud, allowing for illegal aliens to vote. It's because they know that they benefit when they can mobilize the lower orders of society, so to speak, to vote for them. People who are not exactly very good at making decisions, people who would be dependent upon them, therefore completely loyal to them. Whereas Republican voters tend to be a little bit more maybe independent, questioning of things like this. And so, yeah, it's been their great strategy for the past 60 years. I forgot somebody important in that party said that the 65 Kennedy Hart-Celler Act, I know he was dead by that point, but that was his sort of brainchild, was the greatest gift to the Democrat Party because it's done exactly this. It's opened up the borders legally. Of course, we know about the illegal immigration problem, but it's because of all of this, more people voting, that our country has been able to sort of disintegrate to where it is now. So yeah, big hoops, little hoops, whatever you got to do, just add more of them.
Yeah, I mean, like the little hoops are like there should be no question that they should be reasonable. I agree with John. I do think that there should. I mean, I would be totally fine if you could only vote. I am all in favor of only being allowed to vote if you are paying out more in taxes than you are taking in. That's a total conflict of interest. Like if you are benefiting more from people's taxpayer money than you are putting in, you should not get a say in who represents us, in how our money is spent, in any of that. You've decided that you've removed yourself from any of this because you've decided to take more from the system than you're contributing. And I get it. I know every time I say this, I have people who are like, but I'm on disability. And I get it. Like there are people who are in all sorts of difficult situations that they're trying to navigate themselves out of. I'm just saying, as a general rule, that is a bad idea to allow people who are taking in and benefiting more from my money to be able to vote where my money goes, which is what they're doing because they get to vote for who represents them. So it's like that. I would be in total favor of that. Only people who own actual properties. Right? Like only people with skin in the game, with children. I mean, I could go on.
Please do.
I could go on because I just like it is. It's way too easy to. They're complaining it's hard to vote. It's way too easy to vote in this country. Yeah. It's way too easy.
Yeah,
to vote.
What does that even mean? It's too hard to vote. Like I don't understand.
Well,
hold on. No, what I'm saying is I had to wait and get my citizenship to go and vote and. The thing is
so why don't we have to pass a citizenship test?
Well, listen, I actually think that certain people should be able to pass like an English test.
I agree.
For one,
I agree.
You should be able to, or you should have to pass a civics test.
I agree.
Now, I don't think that is outrageous. You don't want morons voting. I mean, I'm sorry, and I agree with it. I agree with you about. I'd just go so far to say is you could start with if you don't pay taxes, you don't have a vote. Like that's it, because then that eliminates. Because there are people that are unfortunate, but then.
But you're saying what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
right? Like because everyone pays taxes, but if you're not paying more than you're taking in.
Well, not everyone pays taxes. There are people that are just on welfare.
Fair.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
so.
Yeah, that's true.
But look, if people, this is a comprehensive thing, right? Because if you take away the ability to vote from someone, then there's less of a chance they're going to want illegals and they're going to want the borders open. And we saw the other day the way that if you, who was that guy named Gracias? I was like, imagine being called like so-and-so, thank you. I thought it was very funny. But anyway, he said like there's all these different bills. The reason why they're so against it is because they've set up this really elaborate network of making it work for them. So what's happening is they're being dismantled systematically, mainly by Doge, actually. But if the people coming across the border were voting Republican, they would shut the borders and they would say there's absolutely no illegal voting, right? And it's a really personal thing for me in particular because I couldn't wait to get my citizenship to vote. Yeah. And like I think I told you the other day, I was in the DMV trying to get my wife's driving license renewed. And we'd got a temporary green card and they wouldn't give my wife a new driving license because they said, oh, it's not in the system. This isn't. And I'm looking around. I'm like, there's lines and lines of non-English speaking Hispanics like in there that clearly were illegal. I mean, I'm just saying, like, all right, maybe if they weren't, 50% of them were, right? I'm just saying. But we did not want to, buck the system. We wanted to do it the right way. So, but no, I agree with you. I mean, the voter ID, and it's so condescending that you are so stupid. And certainly this is the way they talk about the black vote.
Black people are too
Black
damn
people are
dumb
so stupid
to get a voter ID. To get an ID at all.
Yeah, because how could they possibly do that?
They're too stupid to log onto a computer and get the COVID vaccine. They're too stupid to get an ID. They're very stupid, according to the Democrats.
It's the most racist thing ever.
Yeah.
And like I said, like the black males in the country are like, hang on a minute, no. And they've started changing. So I think that, this whole thing is a wake-up call, especially when the black community looks and sees they're being replaced by the Hispanics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
So
exactly right. Exactly.
They don't matter anymore.
Well, hold on. Let's be clear. Not by Hispanics, by illegals, because illegals are coming in. Again, this isn't like, I'm not saying something that's racist. The studies have shown, there are the studies that show that when you bring in illegals who are willing to work these lower wage jobs for even lower of the wages, the people who are most disaffected are the black community. So to your point, it's not even, it's not like
the majority
me,
of them coming in
the
illegal,
right?
illegal
It's the
are
illegals.
are Hispanics. I mean,
yes.
So what they're doing?
Not all Hispanics are illegal.
This is true.
This is the tribalism. We have the Anglo-American versus the Hispanic-American butting heads.
Like all illegals are not Hispanics, and not all Hispanics are illegals.
No, of course, of course. Show me your papers, Gonzales, right now.
There's a little bit too much melanin in your skin, ma'am. I'm going to need to see some papers now. So the other one that passed was, of course, the budget, which President Trump is calling this big, beautiful bill. And he is saying that this will allow him to, he says, great news. The big, beautiful bill is coming along really well. Republicans are working together nicely. Biggest tax cuts in USA history, getting close, DJT. So he has a plan. He has an overall plan. And I know that, we are engaging in this trade war with China. We've got the tariffs that have gone up to, 145% against China, and which is a lot. Okay. But we say on the show frequently, and I know if Eric July were here, he would say it, which is we need the changes domestically here. He would say first, I would say in conjunction with. And so, but there's only so much he can do. And so now you see him commending Congress for passing his budget. And you have to believe that this is all working as part of his plan, John.
I think you're absolutely
his 40
correct.
chess.
Yeah, it may even be in the fifth or sixth dimension by this point, but you're absolutely right. And he did that very well in his first administration with the deregulation of the economy. And I believe that you're correct in saying that it has to occur simultaneously to the tariffs. Otherwise, we're basically just cutting ourselves off with no ability to maybe meet the demand. So yeah, I'm very excited to see this. It's an example of this thing that happens with Trump where he says something like insane and everybody freaks out and he's in control of the narrative, and then he ends up conceding something or negotiating such that he ends up getting like what he really wanted, and people assume that's like a loss because the initial thing was so outrageous. But he wrote about this in The Art of the Deal. I mean, you have to go back and do your homework and understand this. I guess people still haven't done that. So yeah, I'm excited to see America. And honestly, the immigration stuff was probably just like Trump, living throughout the 1990s and the 2000s and being like, why are there so many brown people? But he started, I think, with the trade stuff. You look back at his interviews with Oprah in like the 1980s, he was really worried about this because he's done business all over the world. And so, there are three musketeers, so to speak, in the Trump political platform. You've got immigration, foreign policy. Those are the exciting ones. We talk about war, we talk about the border, but trade policy really was his sort of like first thing that got him involved in politics. So I'm happy for him personally that he can finally get revenge on these people, but it looks like it's going to go well for us.
Yeah, I mean, it is really incredible when you watch these video compilations of President Trump in his 30s talking about trade policy and talking about how we really need to get tough with China and how unfair it is. And it's only gotten worse since then. He's not a spring chicken. And so there is a sense of just like, wow, this guy's been talking about this his entire life. And now he gets to actually do these things that he was saying all of these politicians should do. And it's just, I would take his word for it. I would take Kevin O'Leary's word for it before I would take all of these blowhards who have been in Congress for 150 years, who have never built anything, never created anything themselves. So
Yep.
I'm like, I'm buckled up. I'm not panicking. I'm not going to be a panicking.
That's exactly right. You know, as President Trump wrote in his book, Time to Get Tough, it's time to get tough. And all of these people who are panicking and freaking out, these are the same class of people who have either directly facilitated the hollowing out of our country, or they more or less like subscribe to the ideas behind it. Like, this is going to increase your quality of life. Trust the plan. Look, we have this graph that says so, and that just hasn't happened. So this is a return actually to traditional American economic policy. I mean, every man on Mount Rushmore himself was a protectionist. Even Jefferson came along after the War of 1812, I believe. So this like 60-year period we've had in the wake of World War II, where we thought that we're just going to open up the borders and have everybody get along and be this giant global hippie commune, that hasn't worked. And so this is actually Trump returning to the American economic model as outlined by Washington, Hamilton, I mean, Lincoln even. This is how we built our wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of refreshing that if you go back even 10 years, you'll see Chuck Schumer, even Obama,
Nancy
completely
Pelosi.
flip. Like they were saying something completely different back then. But you go back to Trump 30 years ago, and he's saying the same stuff that he's saying right now. Yep. So it's we keep talking about Trump being transparent, the most transparent president in history. Is also very, very consistent. And the other thing that completely boggles my mind is that, look, we know the left is very emotional, but the fact that he can say something like, you know, we're going to build something in Gaza. It's going to be great. You're like, he's not going to build anything in Gaza, guys. What he's just done is he's made you go, oh, look, he just said this. He's got your attention. He said something extreme.
Yeah.
And what he's going to do is he's going to come back to here. And he does it over and over and over again. And we're there going, it's just Trump. It's what he's saying. He's going to change it. And they're like, he really means it. The world's going to fall apart. It's terrible. They're addicted to the drama. That's what they want. That's what they thrive on. It's the same reason why they look and they go, look at the granny at the border. She's crying, separating the kids. Oh, it was Obama that did that. It doesn't matter. Like, no, it was Trump.
Yeah.
They're just completely illogical. And for those of us that can sit outside of it and watch it now without feeling like we're being personally attacked because we don't care, because we've been called white supremacists and racists and Nazis, you just sit back and watch it and go, okay,
Sure.
carry on.
Yeah.
So, like when the stock market went down, we were all like, it's going to come back up again.
Right. And I know we got to go to break here, but I'm glad that you pointed that out, because it's just people are like, I lost billions of dollars. And I'm like, you didn't lose if you didn't sell. Calm down. Just wait. The stock market has ebbs and flows. You should have known that this was coming with some sort of a reset when it comes to, you know, trade and tariffs and trade wars. And like, let's just all calm down. If you have stocks, you should be ready to have a long-term strategy, not just freak out at the sight of, you know, some sort of a decline. So, all right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be back with more, but I want to thank our sponsor of this segment, Angel Studios. So they've got a new movie out. It's called King of Kings. The premise is Charles Dickens is telling his son the story of Jesus. And so it's all animated. And so the boy is like going through, walking alongside Jesus, watching what happens to him, and of course, understanding his ultimate sacrifice. And it's coming out just in time for Easter. Would be a great film for you guys to take your families to and enjoy this Easter. It actually comes out tomorrow, April 11th. You can get your tickets. Go look at all the showtimes and get your tickets today at angel.com/Sarah. Even if you're not going tomorrow, go look and you can get your tickets for maybe, you know, the following weekend, Easter weekend, whenever you want to get them. You can view showtimes at angel.com/Sarah. All right. So, you know, it's not often that you have a Democrat that's actually held accountable in, you know, all of the crimes that they commit, especially when they are officials of any capacity. And now we have, I can tell you, Boston City Councilor Tania Fernandes Anderson, who is a BLM activist, a Muslim American, a sanctuary city supporter, and former undocumented immigrant who has now pleaded guilty in a federal corruption case and will have to resign. Now, gosh, you hate to see it. Oh man, okay, I'm fine. So according to federal prosecutors, she gave a $13,000 taxpayer-funded bonus to a relative and got $7,000 of it kicked back, handed off in a city hall bathroom. So this woman was making over $115,000 a year in taxpayer money and still ripping off the public. So she is now pleading guilty to wire fraud, theft, and oh no, you guys are going to be really sad to hear this. This may actually jeopardize her immigration status. You don't, why are you smiling? That's really sad.
Look, I mean,
No. I want you to know exactly who this woman is, okay? She's an upstanding member of society, and she was the same person who 2 years ago was demanding stronger protections for illegal immigrants and telling Boston to defy ICE. And, it's just like, would you be shocked to hear that someone who's telling people to not follow the law and defy the law was actually defying the law? And so I just want to give you a sense for who this woman really was. Watch.
What the do I have to do in this council in order to get respect as a black woman?
Couldn't happen to a more deserving person. You hate to see it. Not really. I love to see it.
But look, this all goes back to the immigration policy because they just don't care. They abuse the immigration policy. So as we've said over and over on this show, is the first thing that they do when they come into the country is break the law. It is illegal immigration. And what do you expect? Like, I don't understand this. Like, people need to, of course, everybody watching the show and everyone around this table agrees with the fact that immigration matters, loving the country matters, right? Not breaking the law kind of matters, right? And you know what? That's almost like, it's so funny that you can tick off all those leftist things, right? It's like, oh, she's a BLM activist, so she's Marxist, okay? So blah, 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 blah. It's the same thing like going for an Oscar now. You've got to be like a black, lesbian, transgender, whatever, playing a disabled person, and then you'll get the Oscar. It's a joke. This kind of stuff drives me insane. And it's not necessarily that she drives me insane. It's that the American people are allowing it to happen. And then they're voting them in. How are they voting them in? Bostonians are voting this person in. This is absurd.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, we talk about this a lot on the show. You feel like there was a time where holding elected office was like a very esteemed position and very well-respected position. And now it's like, you've got this woman, you've got, what was her name? Tiffany Henyard, who was the mayor of I forget what town it was, but she was like the worst of the worst, just super ghetto. You've got Jasmine Crockett, speaking of super ghetto, you've got AOC. It's like, what are we doing, guys?
Yeah, well, the people themselves who were statesmen were respectable. And so like the office sort of deserved that respect just because the quality of the people was higher. And I think as the quality of the people in the country has gone down, and like we said in the first segment that the whole panel was on, they are more inclined to vote for people who are just going to give them free stuff, basically. And so it's like you're no longer evaluated on your competence or your intelligence or your credentials. It's just simply like, are you going to be a placeholder for someone who's going to give me like free stuff, which is why these people get elected. And frankly, I don't know why. And we as Americans get to decide this, like every rule, and we get a say before, these people do. Like, why do we have it so that any immigrant can have a position like this in the first place? Like, I totally acknowledge there are immigrants who come to this country who love America, but the problem is when you scale that to all immigration, what we tend to see is you've just got like people coming in, whether they're Hispanics, Asians, Africans, Muslims, like they come in, they basically use the immigration process to establish like an ethnic beachhead for themselves. And then the first thing they do is start sending money back with remittance payments and start having, I think it's on average 6 additional family members come over. And it's like, this is how the country has changed. The illegal immigration problem is big, but we've had like, I think 60 million or more people come here just illegally since 1965. And that's fundamentally changing the composition of the country. And so people who are maybe older are like, I don't even recognize the country I grew up in. I don't blame you. Yeah, I completely don't blame you. It's a completely different country.
But they're also being told in their countries that they came from that actually America and the Western world is responsible for all their ills. So when you go there, you just take what you can from them. You just get what you can because they deserve it. And that's a massive problem. And it's exacerbated even more that our public school system does the same. It guilts like young white kids to like, you know what, your kid, your great grandparents or whatever, they were the oppressors, and really like you're a recipient of that bad behavior.
Yeah,
it has to end. It really has to end. Shit, like you said, John. Why do what do I have to get respect as a black woman? What's the color of your skin got to do with anything? It doesn't matter. Right, none of us give a damn about that. Why are you laughing at me?
no, it's just so absurd that like someone
It's
would,
unbelievable.
I like Clarence Thomas. I respect Clarence Thomas.
right. It's you earn respect based off of your, behavior. And
I respect Barack Obama. I know it's going to be controversial to say.
Whoa.
Okay. Whatever. You can kill me after the show. He conducted himself in a way that was professional. Now, like you mentioned with Jasmine Crockett, who, by the way, I think is like an educated and well-spoken.
Yeah, she is.
She puts on this act, and it's like what literally what they mean, like the words they are saying to you when they say like, "What do I have to do to get respect as a black?" I shouldn't have done the accent, but like, "What do I have to do to get respect as a black woman?" Literally, what that means is like, you do not have license to disrespect me because I am black. She's not actually looking for an answer. Like if you told her like, "Well, maybe just conduct yourself with a little bit more professional."
Maybe stop standing up and banging the table, ma'am.
She said that's racist. Those are your standards of decorum in elected office, and that is racist. And it's like at a certain point, you just have to stop trying to like convince these people and just.
And you know what else is funny?
Yep.
She's literally stealing money. It's like massive gaslighting, right? So I look at all these people, the way they behave, the ones that make the biggest noise. I'm like, investigate every single one of them.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So before we go, I want to remind you guys about our Frontier magazine that we have. If I could have my Manna White come and bring me. Thank you. So I know you can see it right there, but this is heavy. This is thick. This is a quality magazine that we're doing here at Blaze Media. This is issue number 2. And so Frontier, they created this. It's just like a patriotic movement. It's about truth. It's about legacy and the stories that really matter here in this country. And so issue 2 is even bigger, bolder, and packed with the deep dive investigative journalism and exclusive interviews and unapologetic storytelling that Blaze Media is known for. And so you can only get it in a Blaze Unlimited membership. Okay. You also are going to get exclusive events, early access to exclusive events, VIP opportunities, dedicated customer support. You're just going to get the whole VIP treatment with the Blaze Unlimited subscription. You can go to blazeunlimited.com/Sarah right now to lock in your subscription before we sell out again. And you will get a copy of this and you can put it on your coffee table and enjoy reading it. It is blazeunlimited.com/Sarah. So you gotta love this, what we're talking about in 2025 with how absurd it's gotten and how the Trump administration is course correcting all of the absurdities with not including email pronouns in your email signatures. Like that was something that they had to actually change. And now you have the White House press office saying that if you have any pronouns in your bio, they are not going to answer your emails. So any reporter, Washington Post looking at you, any reporter who chooses to put their preferred pronouns in their bio clearly, this is from Karoline Leavitt, clearly does not care about biological reality or truth and therefore cannot be trusted to write an honest story. I freaking love this so much. It's such a welcome change from what a departure from Sam Brinton having like the nuclear codes and he was out like stealing women's clothes because he wasn't one, but he dressed like one, but he didn't look like one because he was doing the bare minimum effort to try to look like a woman. And you had these Dick Levine in the administration as the, HHS assistant. And now you have a White House who's like, yeah, no, we're not going to acknowledge. If you live out there in fantasy land and you don't realize that if you have a penis, you're a man, and if you have a vagina, you're a woman. There's just really no point in this engagement right now. There's just really no point. And so it's just been, I'm not tired of the winning, guys. I'm really not tired of the winning. And so it's just been really, really brilliant to watch. I also want to, on that note, the left, instead of course correcting, they always do this. They double down, they triple down. They will not, they refuse to actually come to grips with the fact that nobody is buying their bullshit anymore. And you just love it when intersectionality just crashes. I want to play CNN's Anderson Cooper, who he was corrected after he misgendered someone on air last night. Watch.
We're back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
Good evening, Senator Sanders. Polling and turnout data indicate that men of all racial demographics are turning away from the Democratic Party.
I can't hear what this woman is saying. What is she saying? I can't hear.
Wow. Anderson Cooper. Sorry. Didn't mean to, it's absurd. A gay man just got corrected.
They're not part of the protected class anymore.
He's not.
It's if you're gay, it doesn't matter anymore.
Now,
Sorry.
he's probably not willing to admit that yet, but it really is true. The L's and the G's and the B's they need just a total divorce from the T's and all the other.
Oh yeah, listen. I've had writers in Hollywood who are gay men and are like, this is insane. It's because it started affecting them as well. But listen, let me ask you this, Sarah, and you, John. When you get an email and it says someone's pronouns, what is your reaction when you get the email?
Delete it.
I don't.
Oh.
I'm seeing if I can find this. It wasn't an email. It was a DM that I got from some woman who was trying to explain to me that she was doing some sort of a dissertation or something, writing a book, and she wanted my commentary on what it's like being a Hispanic woman, or it was all the buzzwords were there. And I was like, who is this chick? And I went directly to her website or to her Twitter account, and she had her pronouns in her bio. And I was like, I'm not touching this with a 10-foot freaking pole. I'm not going to talk to you. I know exactly what you're trying to do. I wish that I could find it. But yeah, no, it's just oh, here it is. Dear Sarah, I'm a historian at Duke University, currently working on a book about the history of conservative Hispanic politics. As part of my research, I'm collecting oral histories, and I was hoping to talk with you about your work on Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. And then she sends me a link with more about her project. I'm not going to dox her, so I won't say.
She's watching right now.
Can I reply?
She's watching.
Yeah, you can reply.
Let me reply on air.
No, not right now.
Oh.
And it says
we don't want to give the viewers what they want.
And it says she, her in her. Do
you think though, if she's at a college, that they're kind of still forced to do that a lot of the time? Because I know a lot of people, because of the big BlackRock and Vanguard, they have been pushing it to force people to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm sure that could be the case.
No, she's retweeting people who are posting about books called Black Owned: The Revolutionary Life of the Black Bookstore.
Let me reply to her, you coward.
Afterlives of the Plantation: Plotting Agrarian Futures in the Global Black South. It's never been a better time to think about Black Power. # Black Power. We're co-editing a special issue on the roots and routes of Black Power.
This is the person you're running cover for. You're defending.
I'm not running cover for her.
From a real MAGA patriot. I want to rhetorically lockpick her into logging off forever and perhaps becoming
in my name.
Yeah, again,
that's going in the book for sure.
I would give you the valor.
Don't you dare mansplain that.